Welcome to Tutor Place. Today's lesson we're going to be talking about algebraic expressions and formulas. To begin, we first need to understand and realize what some of the terms are that will be seen in some of the various problems. The first type of word that you might come across is the word variables. And this just means letters that are used to represent the unknown. For example, you might have a problem that has the letter X in it, or you might see a Y. You could have A or a B or a C, any letter basically that's going to stand for something that we don't know what the value of it. The next term is something called an algebraic expression, and this is an expression that has at least one variable. So it might be something like x plus 2. That would be an expression. It does not have an equal sign in it. So it's just like or it might be called an algebraic phrase. You might have 3a plus 2b. It can have more than one letter, but it has to have at least one variable. And then to solve these algebraic expressions, we're going to use the order of operations. So just remember, that is this particular order, which you might have heard it be referred to as PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. You're always going to do the parentheses, followed by exponents, then multiply or divide, and that goes left to right, whichever one comes first in your problem, and then adding and subtracting left to right, whichever one comes first again in the problem. So let's dive in there and begin to solve some problems and evaluate these algebraic expressions. So for this problem, the directions say to let a equal 3 and b equal -4. So this is just simply a matter of plugging in or substituting in the value for that letter. So if a is 3, I'm going to put 3 here, plus, and if b is -4, so I'm going to have -4, leave my parentheses there, minus 5, and then that whole unit squared. So according to PEMDAS, remember your order of operations, let's just write that here to help us remember, we need to do the parentheses first. So that's going to be 3 plus, now -4 minus 5 is -9, and I need to square that. So I'm still going to put that in parentheses to make sure you're squaring the negative part, the -9. So that's going to be 3 plus -9 times -9 will give us 81. And 3 plus 81 is 84. So again, the hard part here, if there is a hard part, is you've got to make sure you plug in the correct number for the letter. Okay? And then be very careful with your negative signs and your parentheses. Okay, let's do the next problem. Let's do a is 3 plus b is -4. Now that is squared, plus 2, and instead of a, I'm going to put a 3, and instead of b, I'm going to put a -4. Okay, so I'm going to go back and change that. I'm going to use the blue again. It seems to show up a little bit better. So 3 plus -4 is -1 squared, plus, I can go ahead and multiply these three things together. So 2 times 3 is 6. Times -4 gives us a -24. So -1 squared is 1 plus -24. That would turn out to be -23. So just be very careful with your negatives and your parentheses. Okay. I think I have a couple of more problems, and I've tried to do some with just different letters and different, whether they're adding. Those were basically adding with exponents and parentheses. Now we have some with some division. So if x is 2, so that's going to be 2 to the second power. Y is -3 to the second power. And then 3, and then z is a 6. Okay, so we need to do our, now it says parentheses, but if there's nothing to do inside the parentheses, then you're going to go ahead and do the exponents next. So 2 to the second power is going to give you a 4. And I'm going to put a parentheses here just so I know to multiply. So negative 3 squared is 9. And on the bottom, I have 3 times 6. So on the top, I have 36 over 18, and that turns out to equal 2. It's always good to go back and look at it just to make sure you're understanding how you're plugging in the numbers into those letters, and then be very careful with your negatives and your exponents and your parentheses. Okay, in this next problem, we have y, which is negative 3, plus my z, which is 6, all of that squared, plus 2, and x is 2, y is negative 3, all over, x is 2, y is negative 3, and z is 6. So a lot of times we make some careless mistakes by just plugging in the wrong number. So always be extra careful on that. Alright, I'm going to probably go up here to the side on this. So negative 3 plus 6 is 3. So I'm going to have 3 squared plus 2 times 2 is 4 times negative 3 is negative 12 over, and on the bottom we're going to end up with, that'll give us negative 6 times 6, which is negative 36. Okay, draw a line so you just, that's not a division bar, just a separation bar. So 3 squared is 9 plus negative 12 over negative 36. 9 plus negative 12 is negative 3 over negative 36. And then that'll just reduce to 1/12. Sorry about running out of room there. This was a little bit longer of a problem. I wanted to make sure I showed all my steps so that you wouldn't be confused on that. So plugging in the numbers and then plugging in where they go. And be careful again with your exponents and your parentheses. Alright, so that was evaluating expressions. Now I just want to talk a little bit about formulas to make sure you understand what they are. And of course a formula expresses the relationship between certain values. So it's going to compare something and tell you that something equals something. If you know the value of all the variables except for one, you can solve for that one variable. So the formula for a circle, the circumference is 2 pi r. And what if I tell you that to solve for the radius? And the radius would be r here. So I can do that because I would know all the other variables. So if I want to get this r by itself, I would just divide by 2 pi. So I would get c over 2 pi would equal r. So you can turn any formula. Originally it was solving for c, but you can actually solve it for the r if you wanted to, or the pi. You can solve it for any letter. Okay? So we're going to do a couple of these with some triangles just to get practice finding, plugging into a formula. So here we know that A equals the area of a triangle equals 1/2 the base times the height. So this problem says find the area. So area is what I'm looking for. 1/2. The base, it tells me, is 8. And the height, it tells me, is 5. So this one's pretty straightforward. I have 1/2 of 40. So the area would be 20. Not a big deal. You just were given 2 of the 3 unknowns. Notice that we had the area is an unknown, the base is an unknown, and the height is an unknown. So we knew 2 of the 3, and so we plugged those in, and we found the third number. Now this problem is giving us the area. I'm going to always write down the formula. That helps to organize your thoughts. The area is 24 equals 1/2. Base is 3. Height, we don't know. So you need to remember from your Algebra 1 class probably, this is 3/2 times height. And how do you solve that? Well, you can divide by 3/2, which is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. That's where you flip it. Okay? Because here, all of these numbers will cancel. The 2's will cancel, the 3's will cancel, and you'll be left with just your height here. And over here, you take 48 divided by 3, which is going to give you 16. Or the 3 goes into 24 8 times, and 8 times 2 is 16. That might help you be able to see that a little bit clearer. Okay? So again, just to review, if you're having expressions or formulas, you're going to just plug in the variables, the value of the variables that are given to you in the problem, and you're going to solve for the last unknown equation. If you need more help, just send an email to stemtutorplace@gmail.com. I also have a lot of other videos on other math topics and lessons available, so make sure you subscribe to Tutor Place. I hope you have a great day, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.